Hey, fellows and friends and people all over the world, I am going to tell you about destructuring and imports and things. So today, I'm going to answer question number 562 on my AMA. This is from Harry, I'm guessing. Yeah, Harry Solova. And the question is about imports versus destructuring. Why is an import not written like destructuring? Why do we have to have this special as keyword? I think this is actually a pretty common question, and lots of people probably just memorize, oh, well, when you're doing an import, you do it like this, and when you're doing destructuring, you alias like this. Maybe some people don't even know that aliasing is a thing, so yeah, that's a pretty cool feature. So let's take a look at this a little bit. I'm going to go to astexplorer.net, which is a pretty cool site. I'll post a link in the chat right now. And sorry, getting back here. Yeah, so this is going to allow us to inspect what sort of what the browser sees when it looks at your code. So like we've got code here, and this variable has some meaning to us, but we could rename it to that, and that doesn't change the program at all. Oh, whoops, I guess it'll be that. That doesn't actually change the program at all. Just, and that's why we can do uglifiers and minifiers and stuff like that, so that we can make things as small as possible, change the variable names and all this stuff, because it doesn't matter to the computer what those things are. Because it interprets our code differently. So it's going to go through our code, and it's going to say, oh, you've got a let declaration here. So we're going to call that a variable declaration. And a variable declaration actually has multiple declarators. So you can actually do another like foo equals bar here. And now your single variable declaration that is the kind let. It's a let declaration. You can change this to const if you want to, and now the variable declaration is type const or kind const, but then it can have multiple declarators, and so here we have variable declarators. And so this tool, astexplorer.net, allows you to inspect what your code looks like to the browser. Now, I'll mention before anybody comes up up in arms about this, the browser does not use this particular parser, and so it may not call things the same name. It may have much more granular understanding of the code. It may even have a special node for a comma. I don't know. But the general idea is that the computer does not see your code like this. It parses it into something else in this abstract syntax tree. So anyway, I'm going to switch to a parser that I'm more familiar with, Babylon 7. And this will, lots of the stuff is named the same, but some of it's different. And then I'm going to get rid of all of this code, and we're going to write our own code. So I'm going to say this import stuff. And then we're also going to have, we'll have dog, name is Gemma, that's my dog's name. And then we'll get name as dog name equals dog. So there we go. We're destructuring there, and we're importing here. So let's look at the difference. Here we have an import. That's an import declaration. You can see on the left it highlights. As I hover over different nodes, it'll highlight the node that it is being represented. So here we have our import declaration. And then we have a source, that's a string literal that points to some module. The kind is a value import. I actually don't know what other kinds there are. I bet if we do stuff, then the kind is going to be different here. Import declaration. The kind, there is no kind on this one. Huh, that's interesting. So yeah, I'm not sure what that kind is. Import kind value. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but that's not the important part. So the important part is these specifiers here, because that's where it is using that special as keyword. So let's look at the specifiers. Import specifier. So you can have multiple of these, right? So we can say foo, and now we have multiple specifiers in this specifiers array. So that's our first. Let's look at our second import specifier. And inside this import specifier, we will have an imported, an import kind, which I still don't know what that is, and a local. So the imported represents the name of the named export from some module that we're importing into this file. And the local is the alias. So that's what this looks like, and both of these are identifiers, and that's as far as it goes. Once you hit an identifier, it doesn't really have much. It'll have a name for what the name of that identifier is. So that is how an import is represented in an abstract syntax tree. Let's see how an import is represented in destructuring, or sorry, not an import, but an alias. So I'll just click on the alias here. That'll take me right to that identifier. And if we look up, this is part of an object property. So that's what we're looking at here. We can have multiple object properties as well, like whatever, and then we can have a default. And then here we can look, that's a assignment pattern, which is part of an object property. We can even combine this as like my other thing. And now that's an assignment pattern that has a left and a right. So you can really kind of combine all of these things. So that's the object property there. Let's look at this simpler one. I'll get rid of this one to simplify things a little bit. So our object property, it has a key. That's the key that we're going to be destructuring off of the object. And and by the way, these properties are part of what's called an object pattern, and that's the whole thing starting from the beginning curly brace to the ending. So it's not like an object at all. Like here, if we look at this one, this is an object expression, and it has properties and object properties here as well, but they're of a different type. Whereas this is an object pattern, and it has properties, and these are object properties as well. So they're the same node, but they work a little bit differently. Okay, so we've got the object property with the key is the thing that we're pulling off the object, and then the value is what we're going to be assigning it, whatever that property's value to. So that value is the is named dog name. So like pretty different ways of representing these bits of code. So they are entirely different syntax. So the question asker is wondering, okay, so why do we have to have a different syntax for object destructuring, aliasing, and imports? So the biggest reason that we have this difference is because with destructuring, let's say we're gonna make this object nested. So we'll have first is Gemma, and last is Dodds, because she's my dog. So she's my family, right? So then let's say that I wanted to import something from dog. So we'll make these a little bit more similar. So we're gonna import, and actually here let's destructure first as dog's first name. Okay, so we're doing nested destructuring here, right? So if we could do this, then you might think, oh, hey, I should be able to do that, right? But the thing is that ES modules are intended to be statically analyzable. What does that mean? Well, that means that, let's say that we were, here, these are two different modules. This is dog.js, and here's main.js, okay? So in dog.js, we're going to export, let's see, const name equals dog.name. Okay, right. So, and then we want to import that name or that named export, but we want to pluck off the first property and give that an alias. Okay, so let's ignore the alias for now. Let's say that we didn't care to alias it. We couldn't even make this work because with nested or with ES modules, because it needs to be statically analyzable, there's no way for JavaScript to know for certainty that this named export has a property called first. There's just no way. Like it could statically analyze this and know of pretty certainty, like absolute certainty, because it's actually pretty simple. But what if I did like, I don't know, dog name math.random equals foo. And then I tried to so the properties on an object are not statically analyzable. And even if I were to call like some function and pass dog into it, and then who knows what that function is doing to that dog object. And so because of that fact, there's no way for JavaScript to know what is available at the time that you import without actually running the program. And that's that now is a runtime concern, not a static compile time concern. And so a really important element of ES modules is that it's statically analyzable. So that doesn't really answer the question of why can't I just alias this to dog name like this, just like I do with ES or with destructuring. And I wasn't on the TC39 when this syntax was written, but I'm gonna make a guess that the part of the reason that they decided to go with this syntax rather than this syntax is because this looks like destructuring, and so it might make you think that you could do nested destructuring. And I think that would be a mistake. So I'm actually really glad that we have this syntax instead, because it makes it much more clear what we're actually trying to accomplish here. So there's that for you. I hope that was helpful and interesting. AST Explorer is really cool. You can do all kinds of things. There's even Babel plugin macros transformation you can do in here, which is pretty sweet. So, and even prettier and stuff. Wait, what? Oh, okay, you get your config. I was like, well, you can write custom transforms. But yeah, JS Code Shift, people in the comments are mentioning it because it's really cool to do JS Code Shift stuff. I actually have never been successful at using JS Code Shift. I've tried like 4 or 5 times and it was always really confusing to me. So I don't use JS Code Shift. I actually use Babel plugins and then I use this package. I think it's from Square. Oh yeah, they put it in a special org, but it's a really cool package that basically works like JS Code Shift, except it uses Babel plugins instead of JS Code Shift stuff. I like it a lot. It's great. Okay, yeah, so that's it for today. Deep dive into syntax of JavaScript, which I think is kind of fun. So anyway, I hope that was interesting, and I'm gonna see you all later. Goodbye.